cell discoveries. The discoveries related to the cell have happened over the last 350 years, from the 17th century till date. Looking at this timeline, we see that there is one important underlying factor that influences how and when these discoveries happen. That is the invention and development of the microscope. Talking about microscopes, it all started about 2000 years back in the 1st century BC when the Romans invented glass and realized that sometimes things look bigger when viewed through glass. However, from there on, it took another 1500 years, which works out to just about 500 years back, for this realization to convert into a microscope. Around 1590, a Dutch optician created the first compound microscope, which was nothing but a hollow tube, about 6 inches long, with 2 convex lenses on both its ends. This primitive microscope had 9 times magnification. Once the microscope was discovered, it took another 75 years to discover the cell. In the year 1665, Robert Hooke, an architect, astronomer and a natural philosopher, discovered the cell by viewing a thin slice of cork under his microscope. He had particular interest in astronomy and was also the person who came up with the famous Hooke's law on elasticity. Given the magnification of microscopes were fairly limited at that time, Robert Hooke could only see the honeycomb structure of cells and not the organelles inside the cell. He named these honeycomb structures as cells, or rather cella, after the tiny rooms in which monks used to live in those times. Around the same time, Anton von Leeuwenhoek was another scientist who saw cells like how Hooke did. He was a draper and politician by profession, but developed an interest in lens making. He created lenses that produced around 270 times magnification and used it to study the unseen world around him. In 1674, 9 years after Hooke, Leeuwenhoek discovered free-living cells in pond water. For his contributions, Leeuwenhoek is also called the father of microbiology. After the discoveries in mid to late 1600s, it took another 150 years till the next major milestone in terms of discoveries. In the year 1831, Robert Brown coined the term nucleus. While it was known that something existed within the cell, Brown was the first one to call it out. Soon after, in 1839, Purkinje, a Czech physiologist, introduced the term protoplasm. Proto means first, plasma means things formed. That is, first things formed. Protoplasm consists of 3 things: the cell wall plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus. In the same year, that is in 1839, 2 biologists, Schwann and Schleiden, studied cells and concluded 2 important tenets. 1. All living organisms are made up of 1 or more cells. 2. Cells are the basic units of life. In 1855, Virchow added the 3rd tenet, omnis cellula e cellula, that is, all cells arise from pre-existing cells. These 3 tenets are together called as the cell theory. Post this, further major discoveries such as the discovery of various organelles happened around the 1940s, with the next big leap in microscope technology, which is the advent of the electron microscope. Today, an optical microscope can provide up to 2000 times magnification, and an electron microscope can provide up to 2 million times magnification, an amazing progress from the 1600s when Robert Hooke had a scope which only had 9 times magnification.